Everyone has an opinion about where they think the real estate market is going, but only a few are bold enough
or crazy enough
to put their predictions out there like I did at this time last year. And now it's time to find out, was I spot on or did I completely miss the mark? Because if you followed this channel, you know that I have shared some bold and opinionated takes on things like interest rates, listing inventory, and of course, prices. So today we're going to take a look back at my 2024 real estate predictions to see how I did. But before we dive in, if you need help with real estate in Greater Vancouver or the Fraser Valley, you can book a call with me right now using the link in the description below. And please make sure to stick around until the end of this video where I'll be linking my 2025 predictions, hopefully not only to give you insight into what might happen in the market over the next few months, but also so we can come back and do this all over again next year. And now let's check out how I did last time. Now it's a very, very hot topic these days to talk about where interest rates are going to be going, particularly the overnight rate that is dictated by the Bank of Canada, and not so much 5-year mortgage interest rates that are related to the bond yields. I think we will see interest rate cuts this year. Personally, I feel we're probably only going to see 2 quarter-point rate cuts over the next 12 months. And yes, that is less than economists like Brendan Ogbenson of the BC REA and Benjamin Tal of CIBC are predicting, because they both think that interest rates are going to drop at least 75 basis points this next year, if not more. I don't know. I think, number one, I think I'm going to be a big swing and a miss on that one. So predicting that there would only be 50 basis point drops, even the economists seem to have got it wrong. They thought we were going to have 1%. We actually went as far now as 1.75%, almost 2%. I was almost wrong by like 4 times. And at this point in time, it doesn't appear that the cuts are going to stop coming. I do think the jumbo cuts are probably over. But at this point in time, we kind of thought that things were going to do better than they were, or better than they have. And it looks like the signaling from the Bank of Canada now after this last year is the economy is a whole lot worse than where we thought it was going to be just 12 months ago. So interest rates, I got that one wrong. I'm not sure, though, if I got that one wrong in a good way or a bad way. Like, is it a good thing now that interest rates are lower and people can afford, their mortgage renewals and that sort of thing? Or is it a bad thing because the overall economy is showing signs of struggling? I'll let you be the judge of that. Prediction number 2, I think this year we will finally see inventory build back to respectable levels. Levels that we haven't seen sustained since pre-pandemic, or, well, even for many years before that. But in 2024, I think buyers are going to take a much more measured approach to their real estate purchases. And as a result, owners that are not willing to price well, prepare their property to go to the market correctly, and or hire poor agents that don't possess the skills to work in a slower market, well, those listings are just going to sit on the market while motivated sellers sell. Well, I'm going to take credit on this one and say I got that one mostly right. A year ago or so, we topped out around 6,000 active listings. I believe that was in about September-ish, August, the previous 2023. And since then, we saw inventory increase. This year, we topped out over 8,000 listings. That is in a general buyer's market across the entire board area. But just like the previous year, it did not last very long. And now we're coming downwards below about 7,000 active listings. And as soon as the board reports the new numbers for the new year, you're going to see those dip even further because of the rollover that happens on December 31st every year. January 1 is always the lowest amount of inventory on the market in any given year. So we returned to a much healthier market where we didn't see craziness in the marketplace. Inventory was kind of slow to come on at the beginning of the year, but then it did pick up. And it did bloat in the middle of the year. It was a very strange year for inventory because inventory actually did hang on a little longer than we thought, which is actually not a good sign. That's the type of thing that happened like kind of before the 07-08 crash. And that might not be a very good indicator for the coming year. But yeah, I'm going to say I got that one right. Inventory is at a much happier place for everybody involved. There's no need for these crazy bidding wars of multiple offers, cash offers, all that sort of stuff. There are still some multiple offers out there, but they're only on really, really good product. And most buyers have the ability to negotiate their prices down as a result of inventory returning to normal levels. Prediction number 3 is all about prices. I think we are going to see prices increase by this time next year. And if I had to put a percentage on it, I think the average selling price will rise again this year by probably another 5%, similar to the 4.5% we saw in condos in 2023, 5.9% in townhomes, and 6% in detached homes here in my hometown of Surrey, BC. Well, this one's kind of a hard one to put a finger on because it depends on which metric you're using, whether or not prices went up. For instance, across the Fraser Valley, across my hometown of Surrey, BC, the average price in most sectors actually went up somewhere between 3.1%, 1.2% in townhouses, and detached was 3.7%. So that was average pricing. However, benchmark pricing, which I view to be a much more reliable indicator of the overall marketplace, in those same categories, condos went down 1.5%. Townhomes is basically flat, but just slightly down, and detached also dropped 1%. So this could be a result of swinging back towards more expensive properties just kind of in the short term, and average prices have spiked on a year-over-year basis. But generally speaking, the way pricing played out this year was we saw another big swing up kind of in the spring, and then things tailed off and have been sliding down since about summer. But one thing is for sure, I did get this one wrong in the percentage increase that I thought we would see. Normally, we see between a 5 and 6%, if not even about a 6.6%, I think is the 40-year average for price growth. I didn't think we were necessarily going to be there, but I thought we'd be slightly below that. And at this point in time, more than anything, we seem to be very, very flat. So I guess it depends on the metric you want to try and use in order to prove your point. But in reality, I'm going to say I got this one wrong. Compared to last December, we did see prices spring up in the spring, if you want to take the pun there. But at the same time, on a year-over-year basis, we're basically exactly where we were. However, if you take all property types residential, we are up 2.7% across the entire Fraser Valley board area. So that one, maybe I'm not totally wrong, but I'm partially wrong, which is normally where I spend most of my time. Fourth, I want to talk about rents. I think they're going to stay fairly flat. This time last year, I predicted that rents would actually drop. And well, I was wrong. They went up. So if you are an investor, I'd prepare to keep your expectations low for rental income growth. Well, on this one, I think I'm wrong, but I'm going to realtor this one a little bit because I don't believe I'm totally wrong, and I'll tell you exactly why. If you look at the stats from great sites like rentals.ca, you'll see a downward trend, particularly in Toronto, Vancouver, my market of Surrey. You'll see a downward trend in actual rents, some of them to the tune of like 9 to 10% on a year-over-year basis. So rents didn't stay flat. They did go down. If not, my previous year prediction to that was actually the right one, just for a year later. But at the same time, as someone who had both of my rentals turn over this year, I got a substantial raise on both of those rentals because they had not been rented out for 3 years previous. So even though this time last year, I would have been able to get a higher rent than I ended up getting when I rented them out just over the last few months, compared to what I rented both of those same units for in 2021, I got a substantial increase to the tune of hundreds of dollars per month per unit. So yes, on a year-over-year basis, I was wrong, but generally speaking, rents did go up. I do think, though, I'm going to stick with it, we should not expect any sort of crazy rent increases over the short term. And if you are considering becoming a landlord, I wouldn't be putting any sort of large rent increases into my numbers in order to try and fudge it to myself to make sure this thing's going to kind of make sense. Because at this point, cash flow is still not a thing, and it's probably not coming back anytime soon. And my final prediction for 2024 Canadian real estate is that the Tom Story Show, my weekly podcast, co-hosted each week with my friend, coincidentally, of the same name, I predict that we will not reach 5, but yes, 6,000 subscribers by December 31st, 2024. Well, this one, I'm glad to say I got right. We have just surpassed the 6,000 subscriber mark on the Tom Story Show. That channel's growing absolutely amazing, now past 1 million total views. And the part I got wrong on this is that I thought it would take all the way until the end of the year, but we did it 2 weeks in advance. So we achieved 6,000 subscribers on December 15th. And for that, I thank every single person out there that has clicked that subscribe button. And if you're not yet following the Tom Story Show, please go ahead and do so either on Spotify or here on YouTube, because these videos are here for information and best guesses about the market, but that is more about the general market talk, where we get each week to speak to people who hopefully know a little bit more than we do about the market. Well, there you go. And as promised, if you want to know what I think will happen in the coming 12 months, please go ahead and click this video right now and let me know down below in the comments if you think I'm going to do a better job of guessing 2025 than I did 2024.